My name is Dottie Grizzle. I work in the office, clerical work, on just one day a week. And I take care of the readers. And I began at Holy Redeemer in first grade. So I loved going here to school. And we went to Mass Monday through Friday. So I had a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in Mass in my lifetime when I was a young'un. But I kind of discovered that the faith that I had was perhaps more a faith of habit of my parents, being raised in a school that faith was talked about all the time. But what was it on my own was another story. And so when I was tested, seemingly, well, it just went up in the sky like a helium balloon. And eventually, after 16 years of marriage and 2 children, I was a divorced woman. But I felt like there's a poem called The Hound of Heaven. It's a wonderful poem. It sounds like the Creator is seeking, and I can't nail down any particular thing whatsoever that happened. I just would be aware, even in my own house, that there was always like a presence, always just like behind my back. And I felt like the Hound of Heaven. It just felt like he was seeking me. I was being sought after. But I will say that I thought, who would be seeking me? What is there to be seeking me about? I am of no account. But if you read the poem, it's so lyrical, it's so beautiful, and talks about the, which I take to mean the Father seeking his children. And because you feel like you are the one that found Jesus, but the fact is that wasn't my experience. He really did find me. So I eventually returned to this area, and I went to Protestant churches. But eventually I got even involved in something much darker and almost cult-like, and I only know that from that experience that I see how these things occur, because it started out so bright and wonderful with a lot of people, and then slowly it was diminishing, this church. And I just thought, what am I doing here? It scared me. So I finally just bolted. Well, some years went by, and I continued to work and raise my children and everything, and then roughly around the year 2000, my mother had died and my dad was declining. And I had to plan my dad's funeral. Oh, well, Holy Redeemer, I guess, would be the place to go. So we had the funeral here. So I thought, well, I just slowly, kind of the way that I left, just slowly fading away, I just kind of faded right back in. I just started coming here. It was not a particular priority for me, but it was a church home, shall we say. I was raised here. It felt familiar. I think that at that time, my friend came to work here, Pat Weatherly, and she said, we need somebody to help us on a certain day of the week. Oh, okay, I could do that. So I came in, and I was glad to do it. And then I met more people, and then they had what at that time was called CHIRP, Christ Renews His Parish. What does it say? Iron sharpens iron. And so that was the case. That's the case of when you're in an environment like this. Iron sharpens iron. The back and forth that you have with your fellow believers is what keeps you going. I will say that in the past couple of years, actually more recent, I would say the past year, I have become, which I really like, more aware that God is such a strong presence, glorified, otherworldly creator. I don't have words to describe what I feel like he must be, Because what I do think is that if I really, really knew even more, I would think, whoa, he's this enormous, powerful force, God of the universe, that if I really did know how extravagant and how huge it was, I would probably drop down to my knees.